Hello everyone, Ceri Griffiths here, as you know me, Ceri the Crafter. So, it's that time of month again, it's Ask Ceri. If you've not seen one of these before, or listened to one, because this is also a podcast, about once every 6 months, I post a comment in my community tab on my YouTube channel, asking if there's any questions you want to ask me. Fair game, you can ask any question you wish, but I choose which I'm going to answer, because if there's anything I don't really want to discuss or I think is too personal, then obviously I just will ignore it. I collate all of those into a list, said list, and then each month I answer 10 of them in whatever order they came in. Now, there will be repeated questions. There's always repeated questions, but you know what? This may be the only one you ever watch or the only one you ever listen to, so I always answer them. So let's start with the first question. Right, now that hashtag Jelly Postcard Play is winding down, what are the greatest successes and what would you do differently, if anything, if you had a chance? Okay, this comment is referring to something I ran in July, which was hashtag Gely, Gely, postcard play. You can search it, you'll find loads on it. And basically I challenged everyone and myself. You had to create a postcard a day for the whole of July. So that was 31 postcards. There were a few vague rules, like it had to have the number representing the date somewhere on the front of the card. You also had to use something that was generated by a gel plate or gel press. It didn't have to be, you didn't have to produce it though. You could use a digital that was a digital of a jelly print or that. And then everything else I think everything was just fair game. Oh, and the postcard needed by 6x4. So actually it's quite appropriate you've asked it in November, or is this October? This is October. Okay, I am starting to fine tune the challenge for next year. So yes, I am going to do it next year. There are going to be changes, and I'm not going to go into all of the details here because I'm going to do that in my December roundup. So I'm going to give you, whereas this year I gave you, I think, a couple of weeks notice. When it comes to the challenge next year, I'm going to give you considerable notice, because for me personally, I mean, I did the challenge and I found it very, very challenging to churn out 31 postcards, equating to 31 videos that needed to be edited and uploaded for the month of July, plus holding down my job, plus doing my own design work. It was a lot. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to give you all who want to be involved in it the opportunity to maybe take, it's probably going to be at least a month's notice. You'll have at least a month. If you make videos, you can do a few a week, do you know what I mean? To give yourself a heads up. You get it, you're not silly, you know what I'm talking about. What were the great successes? I was blown away by the creativity. That it was so inspiring. The whole second half of my jelly postcard play was making postcards inspired by you guys. Fabulous job. Also, what I was really, really pleased with is I was very worried that it was only going to be people with YouTube channels who actually did the challenge. But no, you all took the bit between your teeth. Some of you posted just images on Instagram, some on Facebook and other social media, obviously. Some of you did some process shots with descriptions and then the final shot. Some of you just posted the final image of that postcard for the day. I shared as many as I could. One of the downsides was I didn't realize how many comments I was going to have to answer or acknowledge or thank for the whole. Basically, it took over my life. Not a bad thing, but I need to be a bit more savvy this time. So yes, it will be a challenge next year. It's not going to be in July. I did learn from feedback that July was basically the month where everyone who had children or grandchildren were gearing up for the children to be on vacation, and it was about time. So I've done a bit of research and I found a month that I think, okay, that's a bit of a lull. And also, just know it's not going to be July. I'm not going to tell you yet what it is though. Is it going to be postcards next year? It's going to be something that can include postcards, but the reach is going to be a little more encompassing. encompassing, that's the word I'm looking for, so that more people can join in, and also within the month you're not churning out 31 postcards, you're churning out 31 things, but they don't always have to be a postcard. So that was another thing I learned. I think I'm also going to open it up so that with the challenge this year, it was one person does 31 postcards. I totally get that's a lot to do. So I think, and I'm still debating this one, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say you can either be a single person or a pair. So let's take her for instance. You know, I know Darcy Sanders in America, I also know Gail Augustinelli in America. So say I approached either Gail or Darcy and went, do you want to team up for this month? So what would happen is maybe I would do every even day of the month and Darcy would do every odd day of the month. Or maybe I would do the first week, Darcy would do the second week. Or do you see what I mean? So I'm just trying to lower the workload but keep the excitement going. I haven't checked on the hashtag lately, but seriously, there were thousands of shares. There was so much kindness and generosity of sharing not only your own work, but you were all sharing each other's work as inspiration. I did it in the public domain. Because I'm part of a Facebook group called the Makers of Mixed Media Art and Artists Group. Link to that is in the description box below. And it's a Facebook group that was founded and is run by PM Artist Studio, who you know I designed for. Good friends of mine, love the community. Everyone in that group is amazing. But I didn't want to do it specifically for the Facebook group. I wanted everyone in all walks of wherever you are, if you can get onto the internet, I wanted you to have the opportunity to do it. Although I did share it into Makers of Mixed Media Art and Artists Group, and they created their own version of everything, and those who had other options also shared their work outside. And what it did was it spread the word of Makers Mixed Media Art and Artists Group. You've got to shorten that one, Mariah. I'm going to choke on my own tongue with that one day. It meant we could spread the word about that group, and the group, which is a wonderfully supportive, creative pool of artists and crafters and makers. It helped raise awareness of them. There were lots of new members, lots of new talent and inspiration came into it. When it came to other versions of what we were doing, all of the YouTube channels grew. Whoever was involved, even if it's just one or two people, it grew. Some of them grew quite considerably. Those of you who had websites, it gave you the opportunity to raise awareness of your website. Any social media links that were shared gave the opportunity to raise those. There was lots of good stuff. And I'm probably missing a lot, but as I said, watch out in December when I do my yearly roundup video, and I will explain everything. I may not let you know the month it's going to happen, but I will let you know a lot of what is going to happen. It might get released the month as well, but that will give you quite a long time in advance. But hey, we're adults. We can keep secrets, can't we? Moving on. Do I still do cake? I still bake. I bake for the family. I bake for friends. If someone who was extremely close to me had a very special birthday, I might do a birthday cake for them. If a company or an exhibition or a competition or maybe a TV show or an agency reaches out to me saying, Ceri, we need a wedding cake for, say, Downton Abbey, or we need a piped wedding cake for a historical documentary we're doing, or would you like to contribute a showpiece to bring awareness to your skill sets at Cake International, which I've done in the past? I would do an exhibition piece to be delivered to the exhibition and to showcase cake decorating and raise awareness of what is out there. Skills both past, future and present. So yes, I would, but it's not something that I'm now no longer set up to do a lot of cake. I no longer teach it, I no longer demonstrate it, because I am now a mixed media artist, which was something I was always, well, probably not mixed media. It took me a while to learn that that's what I was. I was always a creative being. Ever since a child, I've been a creative being. But I focused on releasing my skills and talent as a cake artist to the world because I was advised years ago, don't share everything because you'll just confuse the audience. They won't know which one they're supposed to follow, and it may look that you're a jack of all trades and master of none. And as I say that, that's a saying, I wish I'd done some research on that. Jack of all trades, master of none is actually the first two lines of a longer quote. So the answer is yes, I do occasionally. No, it's not my livelihood anymore. I don't earn money from it. I do still get quite a few questions from past students and some culinary institutes or people who are reaching out to me for extra knowledge or know-how, or they've watched some of my cake videos and they want questions answered. So yes, I'm involved on that level, but it's no longer the dominating feature in my life. Do you come from an artistic family? Ooh, an interesting question. It's slightly difficult because my father was adopted and I don't have the right to look into his history. He's dead and gone now. I don't have the right to access the files that might give me who any of that side is. And to be honest, let's just put it this way. It was an abusive marriage. Mum got out of it when I was about 9 years old, and I probably saw my father twice in 50 years before he died. End of story. That's about it, really. Mum was one of two girls, actually one of three. She had a brother who died really, really young, like baby died. And when you're reckoning, we're talking about Mum was born in 1937 and her brother was younger than her. So basically complications and he died. But when Mum was about 5 years old, maybe, might have been 5 or 6, I need to look at that one up. Both her parents died. So my mother and her sister were orphaned. So there isn't really a lot of history for me to delve into. I do know the odd thing, like I know I have an uncle that was in the original black and white minstrels, and I know that's not very PC nowadays, but back in the day, they were huge, and he was one of them. Apparently one of my cousins, one I've never met, by the way, I want to say might be a second cousin, or he's a cousin removed. Actually, I think he's a second cousin, is Steve Jones, the television presenter, who actually, he did Formula One for a while. I think he might have hosted America's Got Talent at one point. He pops up now and then. Good-looking lad, married to a beautiful lady, quite a strong Welsh accent. Who else is there? Apparently, I think my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, not the adopted grandmother, whom of course I never met, apparently she was a concert pianist, and it was amazing that she was a concert pianist because her hands were riddled with arthritis, yet she could still play at concert level. We also have in the family, there was a seamstress as well, who was quite a renowned seamstress. So the concert pianist may have given me my musicality for my show business side of things. The black and white minstrel may have come down the tree a little bit and put sprinkling on me for performing. The seamstress, I sew. I've always sewn. I mean, I remember I've prepared costumes when I worked in shows. I quilt. I don't do a lot of it because there's just not enough hours in the day. So yeah, so hopefully that answers it. Yeah, I think that answers that one right. How do you control the never-ending stuff that results from journal making? Right. I am kind of brutal. As you, if you're a follower of mine, know, I cannot work in clutter. I cannot work in disorganization. Some people thrive on it and produce amazing things. For me, if my space or if this studio is cluttered or messy or there's stacks of stuff around, even if I'm working on my work surface and it's absolutely covered in stuff, I can't work. I just shut down. It's like, it almost makes me panic. So I'm kind of inbred to be organized. And I know some of my artistic friends laugh at me. They're like, oh, you must spend hours cleaning. No, actually, I don't. At the end of every day, I take about 5 or 10 minutes to tidy up the studio before I finish for the day. And if you keep on top of stuff, it doesn't get on top of you. What's the question again? How do I control never-ending stuff? And part of my process is probably about every 6 months, I will pull out the scraps box and usually turn it upside down and go through the scraps. Anything that's not inspiring me goes in the bin. There's always that stuff that filters to the bottom of boxes. Like if you've got stickers or labels or things like that, you'll always find there's always that layer on the bottom of the box that you always go, that's nice, I'll find something for that one day. Well, you know what? I do find something. It's called the trash can or the bin. I tend to keep scraps only for a certain length of time. I'm saying scraps, and I mean scraps of fabric, scraps of card, that sort of scraps. I use it, I turn it into something. If I have too much of something, I do have a friend who has got an outlet. My friend has a friend who is actually a teacher who goes into like retirement homes and actually runs artistic creativity afternoons for the elderly. She has absolutely no budget. The places she teaches at, she does off the goodwill of her own heart. Is she retired? I think she might be retired herself. So what I do is anything that I've got a surplus of or spare, I will channel to her, or sometimes I'll do batch happy mail and send it out. I haven't done that for a while, however, because postage is becoming astronomical. I might as well just send someone a check and burn the product, you know what I mean? I also have other artistic friends around me who may not be as fortunate as I am because obviously of the amount of subscribers I have and who I am. Companies will very often send me a box of stuff and go, Ceri, do you want to review this? Do you want to play with these? And I always go back and go, as long as I'm not under any obligation to say they're good unless I believe they're good, and as long as you don't mind me passing stuff on, usually they're like, yep, go for it, absolutely go for it. I mean, it's not very often I do that, but sometimes a box will arrive with my name on and I'll open it. It's got like 8 paper pads and stickers and stuff. I'm like, okay. So I will go through them. I will harvest anything that is my style or something I need. The rest I pass on. I don't let it build up. I can't. That's how I take control of stuff. I'm quite lucky in that I do lots of different interests. So the supporting materials and resources for each interest sometimes cross over. Like say I'm doing an art piece, I might use collage pieces. Say I'm working in watercolor journals, I might use stamps. So it sort of sorts itself out, but I don't let it control me. I control it. I absolutely refuse to be swamped by stuff. If something goes in the trash or the bin, then it's because it deserves to be there. I do have, as I said, avenues where I can pass stuff on to other people. So if it's some use or it's not damaged, I will just pass it on. Hopefully that answered that one. Oh, what is your criteria for throwing out scraps and bits? You just heard it. Basically, if it's not my style, if I can't pass it on, if it's literally rubbish and I'm just trying to keep it because I might use it one day, it's gone. There's always going to be another bit of something I can use instead. Right. Oh, this is a long one. Okay, bear with me while I read this. I think that every artist has had to live a season without ideas in dry dock. It is quite frustrating when the imagination disappears, like when you turn off a light bulb with the switch. I find myself in this situation and would like to know how to get out of it. 2.5 months without being able to do anything at all. If you have had that experience, I would like to know how you found your muse again. I don't think there's a creative person alive who has not experienced that on numerous occasions, and I am by far no exception to that rule. I do get those. I do get those. I sometimes reach burnout. If I recognize it as burnout, I will just give myself a couple of days off. I'll go, you know what? I'm going to shut the studio door, and just do something completely different. I'll go and visit a museum. I'll go to an art gallery. I'll go to a garden centre. I'll go and have lunch with a friend. I'll spend a couple of days, maybe just taking a drive to a wildlife park or something, just to clear my brain of the need to create, but at the same time, and I've spoken this in the past, to actually refill those creative batteries of mine. That's one of the tricks I do. Another one that I do, which works probably 90% of the time, is I will choose a cupboard or a drawer and tidy it up. I will, because as you've seen in my, I haven't done that this year, have I? My studio tours, I have lots of baskets and boxes all around me. And what I will do is I will maybe choose a cupboard, a shelf, a container, a box, like a ring binder. I will choose something, pull it out and go through it. I can almost guarantee I will find something in there and go, oh, I'd forgotten about that. Or there'll be a half-finished project in there. And I'll go, I just finished that one off. Or it helps me in the keeping my supplies under control. That very often for me sparks something new. Another trick I will do is I don't watch TV very often. There's got to be a pretty specific thing for me to watch TV, but I do watch YouTube all the time. I call it research. I'm inspired by what I see. I don't only watch art YouTubes. I watch landscaping, building a log cabin in Alaska, home improvement, upcycling, and anything that the thumbnail, if it catches my eye, I'll stop and watch it. May not watch it all. Sometimes I'll watch it and then subscribe to that channel so I can see the follow-up videos to it. I always have a notepad by me, or at least a scrap of paper when I'm actually watching YouTube. There are always ideas that spark other ideas in my brain, so I will use that to do it. I think the biggest thing I have learned about losing your mojo, losing your muse, that dead area where you just can't do it, is I've had to learn to not obsess about not being able to do it. Because what happens, what was the word she actually used? Dry dock. When your creativity hits dry dock, you have to know it's going to end. You can't start obsessing with, I just don't feel it today. And the next day it's like, oh, I'm having another bad day. And then you get absolutely obsessed with, oh God, I just can't create anything anymore. And before you know it, you've absolutely convinced yourself you cannot create. And then you spiral into artistic depression, let's call it that. You need to find tricks and methods of getting yourself out of it. Another good way is find out whether there's a challenge going on. Sign up for the challenge. You don't have to do the whole challenge. There's no obligations, unless you are obligated to put so many videos or so many images out per week. Do the challenge anonymously. So, we're in October at the moment. I keep seeing posts for something called Inktober, so I'm guessing it's Inktober. It's drawing with inks, and I haven't looked into it yet. So maybe you know that's going on. You don't want to join the challenge. Look up a few of the videos and go, right, I'm going to do that one today and see if I can do it. Or just pull out a paper pad and go, I'm just going to make labels today. Find something mundane which will just get get you back into your creative space, whether it's just fussy cutting, and it's hard because I don't like fussy cutting, so fussy cutting may not be a good idea, but very often if I'm in a stalled point, I will pull all of my boxes of acrylic paints out and I'll go through them and find any that are partly empty, and if there's two colors that are the same, I'll condense them into the one. Just stuff like that. The spin-off of that is once I've done that and I've got maybe half a box of emptiness, I'm like, I can go shopping. I can buy more acrylic paint now, which I do. So sadly, I like acrylic paint. I like watercolors as well. That's another thing I do. So there is no finite answer other than just kick yourself up the butt, basically. Don't let the dry dot get to you. We all go through it. We absolutely go all through it. But you have to recharge those batteries. There are days when you have to just shut the studio door and go, you know, it's not today. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to go out and I'm going to go to my local gardens and walk around the park with the dog, and maybe the way the water catches the light, maybe someone walking around the park with a beautiful dress on or something, maybe the flower beds will inspire you, maybe go and sit in a cafe with a book and a cup of coffee and read, and let what you read inspire you, whether it's a poem, whether it's a book, whether it's fiction, whether it's a biography, whether it's a psalm, whether it's your Bible, whatever you want to read, take those in and take from it whatever you think it is. That was a very long-winded answer. I'm not going to apologise because hopefully there's something in it, but that was a long-winded answer. I don't think this is going to be a 30-minute video. I'm actually looking at the timestamp. We're already at 27. Right. Okay. Next question. What is your favourite and least favourite cake flavour? Oh, that one's easy. I don't like chocolate cake. Yeah, I know. I'm a weirdo. I'm just, yeah, don't go at me. Don't go at me. I have eaten chocolate cake in the past and I've enjoyed a little bit of chocolate cake, but chocolate cake just doesn't rock my world, guys. What does is coffee and walnut. Absolutely adore coffee and walnut. But a lot of the time it's not so much the flavour of the cake, it's the cake. Now you have to understand, I'm a qualified baker and confectioner. I have been an international judge and I have had to judge tastings. You've seen them on Food Network. You've probably seen them on actually MasterChef. Everything has to be tasted. I have run a team that has had to do tasting judging. I've had to do tasting judging in filming and documentary scenarios. So my palate is quite attuned to flavour. So for me, it's not so much what is my least favourite and what is my most favourite. It's what is my least favourite cake and most favourite cake, in that I could have a coffee and walnut cake, which I've already admitted is my favourite, and it's dry as a bone, it's not moist, the coffee is bitter and the walnuts weren't roasted. I hate that coffee and walnut cake. However, I have eaten a slice of chocolate cake and enjoyed it. There was this really rich chocolate fudge brownie cake. It wasn't a brownie, it was a cake. And the person who created it, it was an amazing flavour, and they baked it to perfection, because sometimes chocolate can dry out when it's baked. This was moist, it was beautiful. There was one cake I once had, I was judging a baking competition here in Wales actually, and I wish I'd have asked this contestant for their recipe, because God knows this cake, I could have eaten the entire thing and gone back for a second one. It was a Kahlua cake, which is, Kahlua coffee as well, isn't it? Oh, I guess I like coffee cake. It was a coffee liqueur, and they'd made this coffee flavoured cake. They'd made coffee flavoured buttercream, frosting from my American friends, in the middle, and they'd actually covered it and decorated it in this Kahlua flavoured cake, and then they drizzled caramel on top. Oh my God, probably 1,000 calories per mouthful, but I wish I'd have asked that person for that recipe. It was just, actually I'm probably glad it didn't, could be the size of a barn if I kept eating that, but it was the most mind-blowing piece of cake I think I've ever eaten. and anything I've ever judged, that's got to be the most favourite, absolutely. Do you miss the stage? I absolutely miss the stage. Bob Fosse, who famous choreographer, he was in West Side Story. Did he do Chicago? He did all that jazz. Huge name. Hollywood, everything. His wife was Gwen Verdon, an amazing dancer. And I have heard a quote from her that, more quotes today, aren't I? A quote from her that once said, a dancer dies twice, once when they leave life and once when they leave the stage. She's right. Nothing has ever come close to replacing for me the sheer joy of performing on stage. When I walked from the dressing room to the wings, and the wings are the sides of the stage, and you stand there and you look out onto that stage, and it's a magical world. Whether it's in the round, which is circular, whether it's a concert, whether it's a proscenium arch, so it's like a box with a front on it. That area, the performance area, is a magical world with no judgment. I remember I'd be in the dressing room, and yes, I'd do my makeup no matter what. I mean, sometimes got the makeup stuff I had to do, everything from being a sea slug for Cirque du Soleil type shows, through to being a clown, through to actually being a woman in Le Cage aux Folles, to being a French policeman, to just all the different makeups I've had to do. That process helps you get into character, but you're still you looking back at you through your own eyes in the mirror. Then you put on the costume that you start with, because obviously, usually I should say, you change characters a lot. And this goes for film and TV, by the way, because I've done quite a few TV roles. I've done 1 or 2 movies as extras and things like that. And it's the same jolt of excitement, of passion. It's a whole creative world. You step into this world of magic. But the moment you walk onto that stage, you take on who you are going to be. You are creating an illusion for not only yourself, but for those who were watching you, whether it's the elderly, whether it's middle-aged, whether it's children. Looking out into that audience and seeing the emotions your performance is evoking on those faces, who are illuminated by the lights that are bouncing away from the magical area you were in. Oh my God, I miss that so much. Absolutely miss. God, I'm choking up. I absolutely miss that with a passion. When I retired from performing, I did, about a year later, I went, you know what, I just need to see whether I could do some amateur dramatics or something. And I did The Witches of Eastwick here in Cardiff. It was awful. I couldn't, it didn't replace. I'd been working at such a high level of performance with professionals and big shows. To suddenly go to Amdram and be trying to do it in a church hall, it just was not the same. So yes, I missed the stage horribly. My career through Cake took me onto stage a lot. Like I would be demonstrating to 1,000 people. I would be the focus of attention. I'd be judging. There'd be a camera crew following me. I mean, I did a documentary for the Tulsa, Oklahoma State Sugar Show. I did TV stuff for Cake International, which is a big show here. So that was very much performing. The moment I put the chef's jacket on and I walked into a public arena, I was on show. Even if I was behind a stand demonstrating or lecturing or supporting a business, and even doing like the shopping channel TV shows that I used to do, it was still a version of showbiz, but to be able to dance and sing and act, it's just a magical experience. I so miss that. So you're going to make me cry. It's too early in the day. I can't cry. It's Sunday. I can't do that. Okay. What stroke when will be say that again. What, when will your next challenge be? I've covered that. I'm going to announce it in December. I'll explain what it's going to be. I still have to decide whether to launch it then as well, because that's quite a considerable amount of time ahead. I need to think about that. Hold that space, I'll get back to you. But yes, I'm confirming there is going to be one, and I'm hoping to encompass more and more people, and I'm hoping to actually maybe get a company or two on board as well, so that the reach we can get the idea to will be a lot more than it is currently. Although saying that, it did go to thousands of people. I was so impressed with that. Okay, last question. What is your most favourite and least favourite craft project? Oh, it's a this and that question time. My most favourite and least favourite craft product. Product or project? What was it? Project. What is my least favourite and most favourite? I don't know. A lot of the time, my favourite is the one I've just done. There are a few I look around and go, oh, I love that, like Big Bad Ball Bob, which I can't go over and reach him, he's up there, but it was a collaged head, that styrofoam head that I did with gel prints, and I might actually do another one of those one day because I absolutely love him. I love my fairy houses. That was another one. Although those are a long project, and which is why I can't film them. They're long. It'll take me weeks, if not a couple of months, to do one of those. I think my favourite projects are the ones probably that involve acrylic paint and my gel press. If I had to be held to something. And that is the starting point for many other things. Like what I make from the gel press are also my favourite things, whether it be journaling, journal pages, covering boxes, making up, well, some covered boxes. There's another piece there. I mean, so, okay, that's my most favourite. What's my least favourite? I don't know. What is my least favourite project? Basically, if I don't enjoy doing it, I don't do it. Least favourite project. I don't enjoy coffee dyeing paper. Standing in the kitchen for a day just to get a few sheets of paper annoys me. My least favourite activity is probably fussy cutting. I have to sneak up on myself and do a few every day, as I've told you. If I spend 15 to 20 minutes fussy cutting every day, I end up with enough stuff. Least favourite project. I'm just looking around, guys. I don't know. I really don't know. I think if I find there's a project I've not enjoyed, I then relegate that project to a drawer to be discovered at some infinite time in the future. In fact, that's a very good example. Okay, a few years ago, I tried grid journaling. Hated it, absolutely hated it. I did this one grid journal. I didn't get it. It didn't please me, absolutely hated it. And I put it in a drawer. And then a couple of years later, I found the grid journal thing, pulled it out, still hated it, and went, I'm done with that. And I tore it up and threw it in the bin, which I wish I hadn't have done. I wish I hadn't have done, because it would have been very educational for me to find out why I hated it. And then this year, I came across grid journaling again. Well, actually, no, grid journaling came across me, should I say. I was drawn to a lot of YouTubes that I kept seeing about grid journaling this, grid journaling that, and I saw different people doing it, and it really started to draw me in. And then I realized that grid journal isn't just boxes, it can be rectangles, it can be circles, hearts. I'm working on making a template at the moment for hexagons, because I want to do a yellow and orange and B version. Yeah, I'm already on that one. And so I created myself a mixed media journal, and I went, you know what, I'm going to have a go at this. And my first one, I mean, all of them are are on this channel. Yes, I think I can put a link to a YouTube channel playlist. Right, look in the description box below, and what I'll do is I will put a link to the grid journal playlist that I've started, because now I'm absolutely loving it. It's also a really good thing for the person who asked about being a dry dock. When I'm in a slump and I don't know what to do, or I'm like, I just want to be in the studio because I love the atmosphere. This is my safe place. I mean, there's candle burning up there. I usually have music playing. Biscuit comes up occasionally, curls up on the floor and goes to sleep. Has his funny little dreams with his little legs are going, but that's fine. It's Biscuit. Biscuit's my Labrador, by the way, a yellow lab. But yeah, if I just want to create something with no expectation, or I just want to play with color or pattern or just something, I'll draw myself up a double page grid and I will slap paint down. I will use crayons. I will use charcoal pencils. I will use found objects. It's funny because then that usually means that I'll reach for foam stamp or I'll reach for stencils. And when I start that process, the process of looking through foam stamps for the one I want to use usually makes you go, oh, I haven't used that one in a while, and I'll pull it out and put it on the side so I can remember that I need to use it. Or I'll pull stencils out and go, oh, I'd forgotten I hadn't done that one. Like the one I did this week. Was this week? It might have been the last video I did, actually. I discovered that I've got a Rose Cascade stencil, which comes in 3 sizes. And it was only when I was flicking through it did I realise I've never used my own design in the biggest style. So I decided to use that in my grid journaling. So it's just, yeah, it's hard. Which is my favourite, which is my least favourite project? I think that's a question I can't truly, honestly answer. Yeah, I really don't think I can. I probably have favorite and least favorite resources or favorite and least favorite techniques, but every project I keep going at it. I as I always say, trust the process, trust the process, trust the process. I keep going. I understand I have to go through ugly to get to beautiful. And even if I get to the end and I'm like, you know, I appreciate that's nice. I can see what someone would like in it. I don't particularly like it, but I can absolutely assure you, I've enjoyed the journey because I've learned stuff about me and the mediums I'm working with and the end project. For me, sometimes the journey is far more important than the end result. So I think that's it. Where are we up to? Oh my goodness, 43 minutes. That was a lot longer than normal. But you got me talking. That's good. I mean, hopefully somewhere within whatever I've shared has given you a nugget of interest, has maybe helped you with what you're thinking or your approach to art. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. So until next month, I've got this niggling feeling I've already done this month, but never mind. That's fine. Questions are questions. I've got to do Coffee Carry too. That's another one I've got to do. Okay, right. Whether you're in autumn, fall, or in Australia, spring, enjoy wherever you're at, guys. Do get out the house. Do top your imagination up, even if it means walking around your favourite clothing store and looking at the patterns and the prints of the fabrics on sale. I don't mean on sale as in they're cheap. I mean that are for sale. Be inspired by colour combinations. My phone, I click pictures of goodness knows anything. I remember once when I was in London, I went to a pub to meet friends for lunch, and I actually went to the bathroom. When I went to the bathroom, it was this really oldie worldy pub, and the bathroom walls were just, it was so oldie worldy. But the wallpaper there, which was, I think it was bronze and chocolate and orange, so dated. It was absolutely amazing. So I was in there photographing the wallpaper. I did get a few peculiar looks, but I'm like, you know what? I don't care. By the time I get back home to Cardiff, I'm going to have forgotten this. So I do capture stuff on my phone, and then I come across it at a later date, and then I go, ooh, let's see if I can replicate that, or does that inspire something else? Anyway, enough of me chatting. We're at 45 minutes, guys. Thanks very much for joining me. I will do my best to keep this going as long as I can every month. Like I've done with Coldplay Kerry, is it 3 or 4 years now? I can't remember how many years that is. It keeps on going. Enjoy your life of creativity, guys. It's fun knowing you, and thank you for your love and support. Until next time, bye-bye now.